Great. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week. A few announcements as usual before you get started. First of all, thank you for working with us during this. We piloted this online class in the fall. This is the first time we've fully implemented, so we just wanted to say thank you guys for bearing with us because there definitely been some technical difficulties and just sort of us figuring out how to use the online platform. So this week there are going to be two videos. This video where we're going to discuss comments that people have made, and then another one that I'm going to do later. It's just going to be about upcoming assignments. It's Thursday morning when we're recording this, so we haven't 100% decided on what we're going to assign yet for next week. The first thing I wanted to just note is that I've noticed a lot of people talking about problem framing and how important that is for students to do that, and we're going to have that conversation sort of threaded in through this video. But I just wanted to say that it is really important, and it's really exciting to see you guys are picking up on this. The first thing I'm going to bring up is the article on engineering-based problem solving in middle school. Paul noted the importance of generating scientists and engineers in middle school and elementary school. And I agree that this belief in the last few decades has been spent in classrooms worrying about standardized testing. But giving students the space to engineer and do science is going to help them more sharply develop these skills that we really want them to do, and keep them engaged in class as well, because that's really important. I've personally seen when I've gone into classrooms that kids are really unsure of how to approach problems and unable to deal with making mistakes. They figured out what the game of school is. It's about getting the right answer and how to do well, but really they don't have enough time to explore and make those problems. So I think novel engineering is one way to do this. Of course, there are other ways, but I think through novel engineering you can definitely hit on some of those things with the critical problem solving, collaboration, as well as doing the engineering.
And so as you're doing all of these readings, please keep thinking about how to bring ideas from them into your classroom. Paul had mentioned that to help scaffold the development of these critical thinking and problem-solving skills, he's creating kind of a cohesive unit between his 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students involving simple machines. And so for those of you who do have access to the same group of students for multiple years, it'll provide you a unique opportunity to develop and maintain these critical thinking skills throughout those years, which is really beneficial.
Well, actually, I hadn't seen your comment yet, so I'm just going to throw in. I worked, it was with a group of students who happened to be in my daughter's classroom, kindergarten through 5th grade, and it was really impressive to see by 5th grade how they were able to approach problems, because each year we would sort of scaffold what they were doing and build on their skills. But by 5th grade, they just could jump in and problem solve all by themselves and, scope that problem. They came up with this great thing where they had a whiteboard and just made 4 sections because there were 4 people in the group. And each person put their idea for the solution in there, and then they discussed the pros and cons of each of those solutions. And that was something I hadn't even shown them. They just came up with that on their own. But cool. Definitely, if you keep doing this, you'll see progress, and what kids can do after multiple years is pretty amazing.
I just wanted to comment on the elementary reflective decision-making reflection from this week. I read a few of your write-ups, and they were excellent. Becky stated, building up those skills in one area is a start, but ideally they would be able to be transferable to other subjects and in life generally. Excellent, Becky. That really is something that we all need to think of. What we're doing in our classroom, for novel engineering and introducing students to engineering, these are concepts we want them to carry and transfer into other areas. Like you said, academic and life as well. My response to Becky was, as more and more students are introduced to engineering concepts at an early age, I believe we'll see a major shift in regards to the acquisition of essential skills. By immersing children in a design process experience early on, they learn to embrace collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, and problem solving, all 21st century learning skills that we need them to know. As they engage in these skills, a sense of confidence begins to build, and students will be more likely to carry this over into other academic life areas. I really see this happening in my own classroom over the last few years. I notice a difference. I notice that kids have so much more confidence than they did before, and I do notice that this is taking place and kids are transferring these skills into other areas.
So my next comment pretty much mirrored what you just said, Lisa. So I'm just going to just build on that we've done with engineering with preschool students. So even at that, in your 3 and 4-year-olds, really working on what is a problem with them, what is a question. But then they were able to carry that forward and do, have a bit larger base than they would have had they not had that in the first place. So, if you're 4 years old, what you engineer is going to be vastly different than when you're in 2nd grade. But really, it's just about laying that foundation. Somebody had a question about research, and I didn't know who that was, about novel engineering. And what we've really been looking at how to help students scope the problem. and how to explore existing solutions. Oh, I know it. Sorry, completely wrong. So how does research play a part in novel engineering, not novel engineering research? Places that I think research does really well in novel engineering is helping kids scope the problem, trying to figure out, for example, in Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Baisley Frankweiler, if you are building something, I've seen kids go into the website for the museum and try and figure out what the layout of the museum is so that they can make sure what they are building really makes sense in the real world. And the other time I've seen it work really well is having them explore existing solutions so that they're building something. Is there something already out there? What have other people done so they can change it a little bit? And also scientific concepts. So they're not quite sure how something might work, so they've gone in, and you can definitely push them to go in and sort of understand that before they start building, to understand how their solution might work. And we've also seen teachers who find one group that's doing some sort of exploration of science through research and pulls everybody together and has a discussion about that because she thinks it's such a worthwhile concept for them to know.
Kara's reflection for the elementary reflective decision-making article was really made me think as well. She said, I want to help them focus on the idea of testing their ideas to build the best functional design. I also want to encourage the positive interactions between the students, especially for those that sometimes have a hard time working in groups. These are excellent goals for your students, Kara. I really like your goals that you set for yourself. Yesterday, my students presented their final designs for Harvesting Hope, the story of Cesar Chavez. And at the end of our presentations, we had a little whole group discussion about what their design journey looked like in September compared to what it looks like today. And many of them commented how they've learned to really listen to their partner and how they've become more accepting of failure. Others brought up how they feel more confident during oral presentations and sharing their ideas. And to me, this is what it's all about. It's the journey. It's not the end product. I can't, wait to hear what you notice in your own classroom once you do get to your second build, all of you, because I think the first build, we're just getting our feet wet. The kids are learning about it. You're learning about it. But as you move on and progress through different challenges, I do think that you're going to notice a big difference with your students, and you're going to notice more of acquiring those important 21st century learning skills, and they will carry it over like we discussed a little bit earlier. Anything else you wanted to add about that, either one of you, that article, the elementary? I went back to the Periscope video, and there were some really good comments in there that I hadn't seen before. Paul commented, very well planned and built. The fold-away handles might not be necessary, but it shows the boys were thinking about just the workings of the Periscope. If you think about it, we buy a lot of products with added details that aren't needed, but they add to the attraction. To purchase it. What I noticed from this, it made me think that this team really thought about making life easier for the end user, and which shows that they were thinking empathetically. And I think that was key for that little clip. And also I thought the handles, by adding the handles, they added to its functionality. So maybe this team this probably wasn't their first build. I'm guessing if they're starting to think of how the end user feels, and if they're thinking about adding a functional detail that could add to their prototype, that's kind of just what I was thinking. Did either one of you notice anything with that? With the handles, were you thinking that way?
I know the handles, and I don't remember what was in this video. I just know this group so well. Yeah, it's a lunchbox, so that's why the handle's there. So it's supposed to make it easier, but it also is to help them be inconspicuous. Thank you. I couldn't the big word for the video. So it's supposed to make them inconspicuous because they're always trying to make sure adults don't see them, and the kids in the class really sort of grasp onto that.
And carrying a lunchbox will help them blend in with the other school groups that are in the museum.
Kara also mentioned that it was very functional. I love how they can share what they see. Did they bring the mirror from home?
No.
I was going to ask you that, but what her question reminded me of is, we just had a recent workshop in our school district, and some of the teachers were trying to feel out what's their comfort level. What are they comfortable with? I know when I came to the first workshop with you, Alyssa, in Boston a few years back, you had certain materials set aside that we could choose from. I mean, there's a few different ways. I think there's a lot of different ways you could do this in your classroom, and I think it all really has to come down to teacher comfort. I mean, the way I do it in my classroom, I do the store, where kids are given so much money that they can buy items from the store. The pros for that are it requires well thought out choices. Students have to really think out their choices before they purchase something because they have a set amount of money, and they learn about budgeting. The cons are filling the store. The teacher has to fill the store. So I do ask for people to bring in donations, but you have to kind of make sure your store is filled with items for the kids to purchase if you wanted to try it that way, which has been pretty cool. I really like doing it that way. Another way is assigned materials. You could just pick maybe a 6th grade teacher that I'm working with just tested novel engineering out for the first time last week, and she assigned 5 different materials from Mancha Mancha to Mancha, and which we also did that when we went to Boston. Same thing, assigned materials. You had certain materials, that was it. The pro for that, I think it's easy for teachers to prepare, and to me the con is that it lends to a little solution diversity. You're going to see a lot of similar solutions at the end, and if you're okay with that, then and not always. I think the younger students, their solutions will be similar if they're only given a certain amount of items. But older students are a little bit more creative, I think, as they start having more experience. Another option that we talked about in our workshop was you can bring items from home. The pro for that is you're going to have a variety. The teacher doesn't need to supply every material, but the con is that I know in our district there would be some parents that would go overboard with that, and it would make other teams feel a little bit, feel kind of bad, like they didn't have the same items because their parents didn't go out and buy it. So that's the only controversial part, I think, about bringing items from home. Now, in my own school, I've had kids bring usually allow them to bring 1 or 2 items from home, and that's never been a problem. So those are just a few different options when you're thinking about materials.
Cool, I like that. Actually, I'm writing that up in a table that I can share with you.
Oh, good.
All right, and to throw back to some previous weeks, I want to thank you guys for those of you that are sending in responses for previous weeks. We know that had a lot of struggles in the beginning, but we're glad that everyone's getting up to speed now. So this is taking us back to the Amos Winter video. Christine made a comment that she would like her students to gain an understanding of teamwork and flexible thinking. Students should understand that there's no one solution to a problem, and this process can take time and consultation. Currently, our classroom demonstrates teamwork, enthusiasm, and a willingness to help their peers. I feel like these qualities will support us throughout our unit in novel engineering. So as you continue to plan for your own novel engineering unit, going back to previous weeks and readings and identifying behaviors or certain tips and tricks that you want to use and things that you want your students to exhibit is great. So we're really glad to see those responses coming in.
So I just wanted to add one that Christine noted from a past response, that she noticed that it's sort of novel engineering, sort of a twist on guided reading. And really just wanted to say, especially for younger students, novel engineering and guided reading really are great pairing together. It's because younger kids' books, if they are reading them independently, they don't have a lot of detail, so there's not a lot of meat for them to pull from when they're trying to scope those problems. So if you're reading a book to the younger kids and it has a lot more details, it's a chapter book versus a shorter picture book, it really helps out. And it really helps facilitate some of those conversations they can have about what's going on in the book. It makes it a little bit more real to them. So I think that's it for comments. Yep. One thing I want to say, if you feel like you aren't getting enough from these videos and you wanted to have sort of office hours with any of us, please just email and let us know. We are more than willing to talk on the phone or by Skype or however else people are comfortable doing that. Just want to make sure we support you as much as possible in the last few weeks of class. So this is it for this video. You'll just see me for the next video, which will be talking about assignments for the coming week. Thank you guys very much. Hope everything is going well.